Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Avengers Age of Ultron. And this movie came out in 2015, directed by Joss Whedon, who directed the first Avengers. This movie came out right after Guardians of the Galaxy, and in 2014 we saw superhero movies like Captain America the Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy, and there were also some other superhero movies that came out, like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and X-Men Days of Future Past. That was the time I remember when people were like really hopeful for superhero movies. Like, yeah, we've got something here. We can make some really fun stuff. And then the trailer dropped for this movie, and people were really excited. Lots of hype surrounding this movie. Everyone had to see it. Nobody could wait any longer. Just needed to see this movie. And then we saw it, and I think generally speaking, people walked away liking it, saying, yeah, it was good, not as good as the first movie. And I remember having a really good time in the theater when I first watched this movie. And I was curious to see how this movie would hold up because people kind of look at it retrospectively as saying, yeah, it's not that great. And some people would go so far as to say it kind of sucks. And I was like, I don't remember it being that bad. So I decided to rewatch it to see, does it suck? Is it good? Is it great? Is it terrible? And what we have is a movie that succeeds in certain ways, but overall it's kind of a mess. Like, it works best on a surface level. Like, if you look at the cast, they work pretty well in this movie. I like the cast a lot, and I think they play off of each other very well. I do like the visual effects for the most part. There are some parts where it looks a little weird towards the beginning, but most of it looks great, and I do like the character designs in this movie. Like, I like Ultron's design. He kind of looks like a T-800 almost from Terminator. But it never really took me out of the movie because of that. I did like him, and he was cool to look at the very least. And there were some fun scenes in this movie, some good action scenes. I really like the Hulk versus Hulk Buster Iron Man scene. That's probably the best action scene in this movie. It's probably the most memorable scene in the movie, honestly. And if I'm going to say anything that's improved in this movie, I would say, compared to the first Avengers, I would say two things. First off, I think the lighting is much better. It doesn't look like a straight to TV movie. It actually looks like a movie that would be released in theaters and a part of this franchise. So I'll give it that. And also, Captain America's suit in this movie looks way better. It doesn't look cheap and goofy and silly looking. It actually looks, no, that's a good design. I like that you went for a good design. But overall, where this movie really falls apart is the script. It just can't balance all these different things very well. Like the first movie, and by that I mean the first Avengers, it had all these different characters set up in their own solo movies, and here we go. We got a big payoff movie, and it was really fun and entertaining and worked pretty well for what it was. And now we have a few additional movies. Not every character got their own solo movie, but, you know, if they can do it once, they can do it again, right? Kind of, I guess. This movie really falls apart in the script because even where it opens is kind of a weird place. It takes place on this, like, Hydra base or whatever, and it just happens out of nowhere, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. I don't understand why this is here. What's this relating to? Oh yeah, there was a little after credits tease in Winter Soldier, I believe, where it was kind of setting up these characters, and in this movie it just cuts to that, and they're just taking out all these characters, and it was kind of weird. Like, this had like no setup at all, really. And we're just doing this just so we can get into this story. Like, it doesn't matter how things happen. It just matters what happens. And that's this movie's biggest priority is what happens in it. And because of that, everything just feels all weird, and you don't really understand why things are happening in the way that they are. Like, we have more characters in this movie. We got Wanda, Quicksilver. We got Vision. We got Ultron introduced into this movie. We got not just that into one movie, plus all the Avengers from the first Avengers movie. There's just too much in this movie, and they even have a romance between Bruce Banner and Natasha Romanoff, which felt thrown into me. Not sure why that was there. And I get it, they're trying to figure out a way to control the Hulk. We need to get that sorted out. But in this movie, it just felt, why are we doing this? It wasn't set up at all in any of the previous movies, and now it's just kind of happening, and I don't know why. It doesn't really feel developed properly. And that's how I feel about a lot of things in this movie. They just don't really develop things properly. And also, the major plot point in this movie is Tony Stark creating Ultron because he has a vision about everything going wrong. And that's how the plot gets started. And then he creates Ultron, and things kind of go wrong from there. And now they gotta fix it. And also, I feel as though the portrayal of Tony Stark in this movie, he was kind of annoying. I couldn't get behind his character. I know some people don't really like him too much because he's just kind of irritating and just looks down on people at times. But in this movie, they just, maybe you could have done something with that, but unfortunately its approach just doesn't feel natural. It just feels thrown together. And also with Ultron, yeah, he looks cool, but unfortunately his character is really weak. And I think that what this movie was trying to do was create another Loki. And they gave him quips and made him funny. And sure, there are funny quips in this movie, and there were moments where I was laughing. But I feel as though when you're writing a character that's supposed to be intimidating, I'm not saying you can't have quips for that character. I'm just saying that you cannot just use that and plus a couple basic things instead of writing a character. Because sure, giving a villain a sense of humor that's actually funny to the audience can help you like the character or like enjoy their presence on screen is what I mean. But to have that over a character, it's not going to work. And that's what they do with Ultron in this movie. They just make him a quippy character who just spouts quips every other scene that he's in. And it's just kind of weird. And they kind of try to make him an evil Tony Stark almost, where he wants to destroy the world. And that just didn't work for me. Again, could have done something with that, but unfortunately they just didn't write a compelling script to make that happen. There were dream sequences that felt out of place and goofy, like a lot of this movie. And there were lots of setups for future movies that just felt out of place, didn't need to be there. Like there's one for Thor Ragnarok, there's one for Black Widow, there's another for Avengers Infinity War. There's new characters that they introduced, and new stakes are being involved, and like all this into one movie, kind of difficult to make this all compelling, and they just can't figure out how to do it. And I should also mention the marketing for this movie. I think they did a really terrible job promoting this movie because in all the trailers it's trying to be dark and like really serious. And then you watch the actual movie, and it's like, it feels no different than any of the previous MCU films, so that was kind of misleading. Not sure why you did that. I get it was trying to get butts in seats, but still, you didn't have to be that dishonest with it. And the third act of this movie pretty much reminded me of the third act of Superman Returns. Not saying that is a bad thing, I'm just saying that's what happened. Obviously, there's a lot more action going on in the third act of this movie than Superman Returns, but just felt as though I should probably point that out. And that's about all I have to say about Avengers Age of Ultron. It was kind of a mess, kind of disappointing after rewatching it. I don't hate it, it's just a film where I can see where it could be better, and it's just disappointing that we didn't get that movie. There are good moments within it, but unfortunately, the movie as a whole just needed a script that was refined. So, check this movie out if you like the MCU films. You've probably already seen it, and if you haven't seen it, then you're probably going to watch it. So, Do whatever you want. Watch it, don't watch it, kind of almost doesn't matter. I guess you kind of have to if you want to keep up with all the things going on in the MCU, but it's not a great movie, unfortunately. So, with all that being said, I'm going to give Avengers Age of Ultron a 5 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos as always. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of Avengers Age of Ultron, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.